The cold autumn wind cut through their thin jackets as Maya held her 6-year-old daughter. Lily's small hand. They stood outside the fancy restaurant downtown, watching well-dressed people come and go. The warm yellow light spilling from the windows made the place look like a different world, one where people didn't worry about their next meal. Lily's stomach made a loud, rumbling sound, and she looked up at her mother with tired eyes. "Mommy, I'm hungry," she whispered, pulling her worn stuffed bunny closer to her chest. The little toy had been her comfort through everything. The night sleeping in their old car, the days when breakfast was just crackers, the times when Maya thought she couldn't go on. Maya's heart broke a little more. 3 weeks ago, they had a home. She had a job at a small office where she helped with bookkeeping. Nothing fancy, but it paid the bills. Then the company closed down without warning. The owner said business was slow, handed her 2 weeks' pay. And that was it. 23 years old, single mother, and suddenly unemployed. The savings account she had worked so hard to build disappeared fast. First went the rent money, then the car payment. She sold everything she could, her laptop, jewelry, even some of Lily's toys. But it wasn't enough. The landlord was patient for a while, but eventually the eviction notice came. Maya tried everything. She went to every office building in town, filled out job applications online, called old friends. The homeless shelter was full. The food bank helped when they could, but their supplies were running low too. Churches gave them meals here and there, but Maya felt like she was drowning. Tonight was different though. Tonight, something inside her had shifted. She watched Lily play with her bunny in the back seat of their car, trying to pretend it was a game. "We're camping, Mommy," Lily had said with a brave smile. But Maya saw the confusion in her daughter's eyes. A 6-year-old shouldn't have to be this strong. That's when Maya made the decision that scared her more than being homeless. She had heard other women talk about it, in hushed voices at the shelter. Desperate times, desperate measures. She never thought she would consider it. But watching her daughter go hungry changed something deep inside her. The restaurant crowd was thinning out. Maya spotted a man in a nice suit walking alone toward the parking area. He looked successful. Clean, safe. Her hands shook as she approached him. This went against everything she believed about herself. But Lily needed food more than Maya needed her pride. "Excuse me, sir," Maya called out softly. The man stopped and turned. He was probably in his 30s, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He didn't look threatening, which gave Maya a small bit of courage. "Yes?" he asked, his voice gentle. Maya took a deep breath. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "I have a daughter. She's 6. We haven't had a real meal in 2 days." She paused, gathering every ounce of courage she had left. "I know. This sounds crazy, but I'll do anything for money to buy her food. One night with me. Whatever you want. Just please help us." The words felt like poison coming out of her mouth. This wasn't who she was. This wasn't how she was raised. But love for her daughter had pushed her beyond every boundary she ever set for herself. Lily peeked out from behind Maya's legs, still clutching her bunny. The man looked down at the little girl, then back at Maya. Instead of the response Maya expected, whether it was anger, disgust, or acceptance, she saw something else in his eyes. Understanding, sadness, not for himself, but for them. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Maya. This is Lily." He knelt down to Lily's level, speaking softly. "Hi, Lily. That's a beautiful bunny you have there. What's her name?" Lily looked up at her mother, then back at the man. "Snowball," she whispered. "That's a perfect name." He stood up and looked at Maya again. "My name is David. I have a different idea. How about we go get some food for both of you? No strings attached. Just one person helping another." Maya stared at him in shock. This wasn't what she had expected at all. I don't understand. When's the last time you both had a proper meal?" David asked. Maya's lip trembled. 3 days ago. We had soup at the church, but they only serve lunch twice a week. David nodded slowly. "There's a diner down the street that serves great pancakes, Lily." "Do you like pancakes?" Lily's eyes lit up for the first time in days. I love pancakes. Then that's where we're going. David looked at Maya with steady, honest eyes. I can see you're a good mother who's been dealt a hard hand. Let me help you the right way. As they walked toward the diner, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Not just hope, but the reminder that good people still existed in the world. She didn't know what David's story was or why he was being so kind, but for the first time in weeks, she felt like maybe everything might be okay. The diner was warm and bright, with red vinyl booths and the smell of coffee and bacon in the air. David gestured to a booth in the corner. Order whatever you want, both of you. Maya watched Lily bounce slightly in her seat as she looked at the menu pictures. Her daughter deserved this simple happiness. She deserved so much more than what Maya had been able to give her lately. Why are you doing this? Maya asked David quietly. He was quiet for a moment, then smiled. Because everyone deserves kindness, especially when they're brave enough to ask for help. You did what any loving parent would do. There's no shame in that. As they ordered food and began to talk, Maya realized that this man had just given her something more valuable than money. He had given her back her dignity, and maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something better for both her and Lily. The waitress brought over a stack of fluffy pancakes that looked like they belonged in a magazine. Lily's eyes went wide as she watched the butter melt on top, creating little golden rivers down the sides. Maya hadn't seen her daughter this excited about food in weeks. Can I really eat all of this? Lily asked, looking back and forth between her mother and David every single bite. David said with a warm smile, and if you're still hungry after that, we'll order more. Maya watched her daughter dig into the pancakes with pure joy. Each bite seemed to bring color back to Lily's cheeks. It was amazing how something as simple as a hot meal could transform a child's whole world. Tell me about yourself, David said, gently, taking a sip of his coffee. How did you end up here? Maya hesitated. She had become used to people judging her situation, assuming she had made bad choices or wasn't trying hard enough. But something about David's tone made her feel safe to share. I was working at a small accounting office downtown, she began. Nothing fancy, but it paid enough for our little apartment. I've been there for 2 years, ever since I finished my business degree at the community college. David nodded, encouraging her to continue. Then one morning, I showed up to work and there was a sign on the door. Closed permanently. Just like that. Mr. Johnson, the owner, called us all that afternoon, said the economy was tough and he couldn't keep the doors open anymore. Maya stirred her coffee absently. I thought I'd find another job quickly. I mean, I had experience, good references, but everywhere I applied, they said the same thing. We'll call you. Nobody ever did. What about Lily's father? David asked carefully. Maya's face tightened slightly. He left when I was pregnant. Said he wasn't ready to be a father. I haven't heard from him since. David saw the pain in her eyes and didn't push further. Instead, he turned to Lily, who was making happy sounds as she ate. Lily, what's your favorite subject in school? Lily looked up, syrup on her chin. Art, I love drawing pictures, but I haven't been to school in a while. She looked at her mother with worry. Are we going to find a new school soon? Mommy? Maya's throat tightened. She had been so focused on finding food and shelter that she hadn't even registered her daughter missing school. Yes, baby. Soon David pulled out his phone and showed Lily some pictures. I have a big house with lots of windows. There's a room that gets beautiful sunlight in the morning. I bet it would be perfect for drawing. Really? Lily's eyes lit up. Double quotes, really. And you know what else? There's a little garden behind the house where rabbits sometimes come to eat the grass, real ones. Just like Snowball here. Lily hugged her stuffed bunny tighter. Can we see the rabbits? Mommy! Maya looked at David with confusion. I don't understand what you're getting at. David leaned forward slightly. I've been thinking while we've been talking. I live alone in a house that's way too big for one person. I have a guest house in the back that I never use. It has 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, everything you'd need. Maya's heart started beating faster. What are you saying? I'm saying you and Lily could stay there. Get back on your feet. I noticed you mentioned accounting experience. I run a small software company, and honestly, my paperwork is a mess. I could use someone with your skills to help organize things. Maya stared at him. You're offering me a job and a place to live. You don't even know me. I know enough, David said simply. I know you're a college graduate who worked hard to build a life for you and your daughter. I know you're someone who's been knocked down but hasn't given up. And I know you love Lily enough to swallow your pride and ask for help when she needed it. But why would you do this for strangers? David was quiet for a moment. 5 years ago, I was sleeping in my car too. I had just started my company, but I had no money, no connections, no family to help me. A man named Robert gave me a chance when nobody else would. He let me work in his warehouse during the day and sleep in the office at night until I could afford my own place. He looked at Lily, who was listening intently while finishing her pancakes. Robert told me that kindness isn't about paying people back, it's about paying it forward. He said someday I'd meet someone who needed help and I'd know what to do. Maya felt tears building in her eyes. This is too much, too generous. I don't know how I could ever repay you. You repay me by taking care of your daughter and building a good life. That's all I want. Lily had been following the conversation as best she could. Does this mean we don't have to sleep in the car anymore? David knelt down beside her booth. If your mommy says yes, you'll have your own room with a real bed. And maybe we can set up a special place for you to draw pictures. Can I draw you a picture? Lily asked. I would love that more than anything. Maya wiped her eyes. I don't know what to say. This feels like a dream, so you'll let me help you. David said. Tomorrow morning, I'll pick you up and show you the place. If you like it, we can work out the details. If not, no hard feelings. Maya looked at her daughter, who was smiling for the first time in weeks. She thought about the cold car, the uncertainty, the constant worry about where their next meal would come from. Then she thought about this man who had appeared in their darkest hour, like some kind of guardian angel. Okay, she whispered. Yes, thank you. David smiled. Thank you for trusting me, both of you. As they finished their meal, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Not just hope, but the beginning of belief that maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be all right. Sometimes the worst moments in life led to the most beautiful new beginnings. Outside the diner, David handed Maya his business card. I'll pick you up at 9 tomorrow morning. Where should I meet you? Maya hesitated, embarrassed. We're staying at the parking lot behind the old grocery store on 5th Street. I'll be there. David said without judgment. Sleep well tonight. Tomorrow starts your new life. As they walked back to their car, Lily skipped ahead, talking excitedly to her bunny about their new friend in the house with the rabbits. Maya watched her daughter's joy and felt like maybe she had done something right after all. Maya barely slept that night. She kept thinking this was all too good to be true. People didn't just offer strangers a place to live and a job. Maybe David would change his mind. Maybe he wouldn't show up. Maybe this was all some kind of cruel joke. But at exactly 9 o'clock, she heard a gentle knock on their car window. David stood there with 2 coffee cups and a small bag from a bakery. He had remembered that Maya liked her coffee with cream. Good morning, he said cheerfully. I brought breakfast. Lily bounced out of the car, fully awake and excited. Are we going to see the house with the rabbits? We sure are, David said, handing her a chocolate muffin. I saw 3 of them in the garden this morning. The drive took 20 minutes. Winding up into the hills above the city, Maya had never been in this part of town before. The houses were beautiful, with big yards and fancy gates. She felt out of place in her wrinkled clothes and messy hair. Don't worry, David said, as if reading her thoughts. Home is about the people, not the fancy stuff. They pulled into a long driveway lined with oak trees. The main house was beautiful, but not too big or showy. It looked warm and welcoming, with a wraparound porch and flower boxes under the windows. The guest house is back here, David said, leading them down a stone path through the garden. Maya's breath caught in her throat. The guest house was like something from a fairy tale. It was small but perfect, with white walls and blue shutters. Flowers grew in neat rows along the walkway, and there was a small porch with 2 chairs. "This is ours," Lily whispered, as if speaking too loud might make it disappear. "If you want it to be," David said, pulling out a key dot inside. Maya couldn't believe her eyes. The living room had big windows that let in streams of golden sunlight. There was a comfortable couch, a small dining table, and a kitchen area with everything they could need. The refrigerator was already stocked with food. "The bedrooms are this way," David said, showing them down a short hallway. Lily's room was perfect for a little girl. The walls were painted soft yellow, and there was a twin bed with a colorful quilt. But what made Lily gasp with joy was the small desk by the window, already set up with drawing paper, crayons, and colored pencils. "You said you liked art," David explained with a smile. Maya's room was simple but beautiful. The bed looked like a cloud with its white comforter and fluffy pillows. There was a dresser, a closet, and another big window that looked out over the garden. "There's a washer and dryer in the closet by the kitchen," David said. "Internet is already connected, and all the utilities are included." Maya walked back to the living room in a daze. "David, this is incredible. But I have to ask, what's the catch? What do you really want from us?" David sat down on the couch and gestured for her to join him. Lily was already exploring her new room, talking excitedly to Snowball. "I told you about Robert, the man who helped me when I was starting out," David said. "What I didn't tell you was that I was pretty angry at the world back then. I felt like everyone was against me, like I'd never catch a break." He looked out the window at the garden. "Robert didn't just give me a place to work and sleep. He gave me hope. He showed me that there were still good people who believed in helping others. That changed everything for me." Maya listened carefully. "When I started making money, I bought this house because it was too big and I thought that would make me happy. But it just felt empty. I've been successful, but I've also been lonely. I work all the time, have no close friends, no family nearby." David turned to look at her. "Yesterday, when I saw you with Lily, I saw something I'd forgotten about. I saw what real love looks like. The way you were willing to do anything for your daughter reminded me why kindness matters. But this is so much more than we deserve." Maya said, "That's not true. You deserve safety, stability, and a chance to build a good life. Lily deserves to go to school and have friends and feel secure. This house has been empty for months. Now it can be a home." Lily came running back into the room. "Mommy, look." She held up a drawing she had already started. It was stick figures of the 3 of them standing in front of the house, with rabbits hopping around their feet. "It's beautiful, honey," Maya said, her eyes filling with tears. "I want to give it to David," Lily said, "to say thank you." David knelt down and took the drawing like it was the most precious thing in the world. "This is going right on my refrigerator. Thank you, Lily." "Now," David said, standing up, "let's talk about the work situation. I wasn't lying when I said I need help. My home office is a disaster. I have receipts everywhere, appointments I forget about, and paperwork that I keep meaning to organize but never do." He led them up the path to the main house. His office was indeed a mess. Papers covered every surface, and there were boxes stacked in corners. "I travel for work sometimes, and I have employees who work remotely. I need someone to help me stay organized, manage my calendar, handle correspondence, basic business stuff, but it's important." Maya looked around the office. This was exactly the kind of work she had done before. "I can definitely help with this. The job pays well, and the hours are flexible. You can work around Lily's school schedule. Speaking of which, there's an excellent elementary school just down the hill. I already called them this morning." Maya stared at him. "You called the school. I hope that's okay. I wanted to make sure they had space for Lily. The principal said they'd be happy to meet with you both tomorrow to get her registered." Maya sat down hard in the nearest chair. "This is all happening so fast. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and find out this was all a dream." David sat on the edge of his desk. "I know it's a lot, but sometimes good things happen quickly, just like bad things do. The difference is learning to accept help when it's offered." What if I mess this up? Maya asked quietly. What if I'm not good enough at the job? What if Lily doesn't adjust well? What if we disappoint you, Maya? David said gently, You're not going to disappoint me. I can already tell you're smart, hardworking, and devoted to your daughter. That's all I need to know. Lily appeared in the doorway, having explored the main house. David, your kitchen is huge, and there's a piano. Do you play piano? David asked. No, but I always wanted to learn. David smiled. Well, maybe we can arrange some lessons. Maya watched this interaction and felt something shift in her heart. This wasn't just about having a place to live or a job. This was about belonging somewhere, about being part of something bigger than just survival. Okay, she said finally, let's do this. Let's try. David's face lit up. Really? Really? But I have one condition. What's that? You have to let me cook dinner for you sometimes. It's the least I can do. David laughed. Deal. I'm a terrible cook anyway. As they walked back to the guest house, Maya felt like she was walking into a new life. The old life of fear and uncertainty was behind them. Ahead was possibility, hope, and the chance to build something beautiful. That night, as she tucked Lily into her new bed, her daughter looked up at her with sleepy eyes. Mommy, is David going to be our family now? Maya smoothed Lily's hair. He's our friend, sweetie. A very good friend who's helping us. I like him, Lily said. He makes you smile again. Maya realized her daughter was right for the first time. In months, she was smiling, really smiling. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, they were safe, warm, and home. 3 weeks into their new life, Maya woke up to the sound of Lily's laughter coming from the garden. She looked out her bedroom window and saw her daughter chasing butterflies, while David watched from the porch, coffee mug in hand. The sight made her heart warm in a way she hadn't felt in years. Maya had thrown herself into organizing David's office with the same energy she once put into surviving. His desk, which had been buried under mountains of papers, now had neat filing systems and labeled folders. His calendar, which used to be a collection of sticky notes, was now properly organized on his computer. I can't believe how much clearer I can think now, David had said the day before, looking around his transformed office. I actually know where everything is. Maya smiled as she got dressed for work. She had found her rhythm in the job quickly. Her accounting background helped her understand David's business finances, and her natural organization skills made everything run smoother. But more than that, she enjoyed the work. It felt good to be useful again, to contribute something meaningful. Downstairs, she found David making pancakes while Lily sat at the kitchen counter, telling him about a dream she'd had. And then the giant rabbit said I could ride on his back to the cloud castle, Lily was saying, her eyes wide with excitement. That sounds like an amazing adventure, David said, flipping a pancake expertly. Did you meet any other animals in the cloud castle? A talking cat who wore a crown made of stars. Maya watched this interaction with wonder. David had slipped into the role of a caring adult in Lily's life so naturally. He remembered her favorite foods, asked about her school day, and even helped with homework when Maya was busy. Good morning, sleepyhead, David said, noticing Maya in the doorway. I made extra pancakes. You don't have to cook for us every morning, Maya said, though she secretly loved these breakfast moments. I want to, David replied simply. Besides, Lily was telling me about her art project, and I didn't want to miss any details. Lily launched into an explanation of the painting she was working on. For school, her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, had been amazed by Lily's artistic talent and had even entered one of her drawings in a local children's art contest. She's really gifted, David said quietly to Maya while Lily finished her breakfast. Have you thought about getting her into some art classes? Maya's face clouded slightly. Those things cost money. Maybe someday when I've saved up enough. What if I told you there's a community center that offers free art classes for kids on Saturday mornings? Maya looked at him suspiciously. Is this another one of your generous gestures? David laughed. Actually, no. I looked it up online. It's a real program funded by the city. I can drive you both there this weekend if you wanted to check it out. As the days passed, Maya found herself looking forward to these small moments. David would join them for dinner most evenings, and they'd sit on the porch afterward while Lily played in the garden. They talked about everything: books, movies, dreams for the future. "I've been thinking," David said one evening as they watched Lily make a crown of dandelions. "I travel for work sometimes, usually just overnight trips. Would you be comfortable managing some of the business calls while I'm gone?" Maya felt a flutter of nervousness mixed with excitement. "You trust me with that, Maya. In 3 weeks you've transformed my entire business organization. You understand my work better than I do sometimes. Of course I trust you." The next week, David had to go to a conference in another city. Maya handled his calls, scheduled his meetings, and even resolved a problem with a client that had been dragging on for weeks. When David returned, he was amazed by how smoothly everything had run. "You're incredible," he said, looking through the notes she'd left for him. "I don't know how I managed without you." Maya felt a pride she hadn't experienced in years, not just in her work, but in herself. She was building something again, contributing to something bigger than just survival. But it wasn't just about work. The three of them had fallen into a comfortable routine that felt surprisingly natural. David would read bedtime stories to Lily, his voice doing different characters that made her giggle. Maya would cook dinner while they both helped, turning the kitchen into a place full of laughter and conversation. One evening, as Maya was tucking Lily into bed, her daughter asked, "Mommy, why don't you smile more often?" "What do you mean, sweetheart? You smile all the time now. But before, when we lived in the car, you looked sad even when you tried to smile." Maya's heart clenched. She had tried so hard to hide her fear and desperation from Lily. But children see everything. "I was worried about taking care of you," Maya said honestly. "But now I don't have to worry so much because David takes care of us too." Maya paused, thinking about how to answer. "David is a very good friend who helps us, but I'm still your mommy. And taking care of you is still my job. Can't you both take care of me?" Out of the mouths of babes, Maya thought, "Yes, sweetie, we both take care of you." The next Saturday, David surprised them both by setting up an easel in the garden. "I thought you might like to paint outside," he said to Lily. "The light is beautiful out here in the morning." Lily clapped her hands with delight and immediately began working on a painting of the house with the rabbit family they'd been watching. "You didn't have to do this," Maya said, but she was smiling. "I wanted to. Besides, I like watching her create. She gets this look of pure concentration that reminds me of you when you're working." Maya looked at him curiously. "You watch me work?" David's cheeks colored slightly. "I mean, sometimes I notice when I'm passing by the office. You get this focused expression, like the rest of the world disappears." Something in his tone made Maya's heart skip. Over the past month, she had started noticing things about David too. The way he hummed while making coffee, how he always saved the last bite of dessert for Lily, the gentle way he spoke to everyone, from the mailman to the grocery store clerk. "David," she said quietly, "can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you ever get lonely? I mean," before we came here, David was quiet for a moment, watching Lily paint every day. "This house was beautiful, but it felt empty. I had success, but I didn't have anyone to share it with, and now," he turned to look at her, his eyes warm. "Now I wake up to the sound of Lily's laughter. I look forward to coming home at the end of the day. I have someone to share stories with over dinner." He paused. "Now I have family." The word hung in the air between them. Family. It was what they had become, wasn't it? Not in the traditional sense, but in all the ways that mattered. That night, after Lily was asleep, Maya and David sat on the porch in comfortable silence. The stars were bright, and the garden was full of the gentle sounds of evening. "Thank you," Maya said suddenly. "For what? For seeing us as more than just people who needed help. For making us feel like we belong here." David reached over and took her hand. "Thank you for letting me be part of your lives. For bringing joy back into this house." Maya squeezed his hand. Feeling something shift between them, something deeper than gratitude or friendship, something that felt like the beginning of love inside the house. Lily's artwork covered the refrigerator, her books were scattered on the coffee table, and her laughter seemed to echo in every room. This place had become home in every sense of the word. For the first time in years, Maya felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 6 months had passed since that desperate night outside the restaurant. Maya stood in the kitchen of the guest house, packing lunch boxes for what had become their daily routine. Lily was getting ready for school, chattering about her upcoming art show where 3 of her paintings would be displayed. "Don't forget my permission slip for the field trip," Lily called from her room. "Already in your backpack," Maya called back, smiling at how normal this conversation sounded. Normal? It was a word that had taken on new meaning in their lives. Maya had saved enough money to start looking for an apartment. She had been browsing rental listings online, though something felt wrong about each place she looked at. They were fine apartments, but they didn't feel like home. Not the way this little house had become home. David knocked on the door, carrying 2 coffee cups as he did every morning. "Ready for the big day?" he asked. Today was the day of Lily's art show, and they had all been excited about it for weeks. "I think she's more nervous than excited," Maya said, accepting the coffee gratefully. "She keeps asking if people will really like her paintings. They're going to love them. She's incredibly talented." David had been saying things like this more often lately, not just about Lily, but about Maya too. How proud he was of her work, how much he appreciated her presence in his life. There was something in his voice when he spoke to her that made her heart flutter. "Maya," David said, his voice taking on a more serious tone, "I've been thinking about something, and I wanted to talk to you about it." Maya's stomach dropped. This was it. He was going to tell her it was time for them to move on. She had been waiting for this moment, dreading it even as she prepared for it. "Okay," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I know you've been looking at apartments. How did you know that?" "You left a browser window open on the office computer." David set down his coffee cup. "I want you to know that you're welcome to stay here as long as you want, not just as my employee, but as part of my family." Maya blinked in surprise. "David, I can't stay here forever. You've done so much for us already. What if I told you I don't want you to leave? What if I told you that these past 6 months have been the happiest of my life?" Before Maya could respond, Lily bounced into the kitchen, her backpack bouncing with her. "Are you coming to my art show today, David?" "Wouldn't miss it for the world," he said, his eyes still on Maya. The elementary school gymnasium had been transformed into an art gallery. Children's artwork covered the walls, and proud parents moved from piece to piece, admiring their young artist creations. Maya found Lily's section and gasped. The first painting showed their old car from the outside, but through the windows you could see Maya and Lily holding hands, smiling. The title read, "Home is where Mommy is." The second painting was of the guest house surrounded by flowers, with 3 figures standing in front, Maya, Lily, and David. They were all holding hands, and there were rabbits scattered around their feet. The title was "My New Family." The third painting was abstract, full of bright colors swirling together. The title was simply "Happy." "Oh, Lily," Maya whispered, tears in her eyes. "Do you like them?" Lily asked, suddenly appearing at her side. "They're beautiful. You're so talented, sweetheart." David was standing in front of the second painting, staring at it with an unreadable expression. "She really sees us as family," he said quietly. "Kids see things simply," Maya replied. "They don't complicate things the way adults do. Maybe that's not a bad thing." That evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Maya and David sat on the porch as they did most nights. But tonight felt different. The air was charged with unspoken words. "I've been thinking about what you said this morning," Maya began. "About staying here, about family." Maya turned to face him. "David, I need to be honest with you about something." "What's that?" "I'm falling in love with you." The words came out in a rush. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere between the pancake breakfast and the bedtime stories and the way you make Lily laugh, I started feeling things I didn't expect to feel. David's face broke into a slow smile. Thank God. I was starting to think I was imagining the way you looked at me. You weren't imagining it, Maya. I've been in love with you for months. I just didn't know how to tell you without making you feel pressured or uncomfortable. Maya felt like she could float. Really, really. I love the way you hum when you're organizing files. I love how you always save the last cookie for Lily. I love how strong you are, how you rebuilt your whole life from nothing. I didn't rebuild it from nothing. I had help. You had opportunity. You did the rebuilding. David reached for her hand. I love you, Maya, and I love Lily like she's my own daughter. She loves you too. She told me yesterday that she wishes you were her daddy. David's eyes filled with tears. What did you tell her? I told her that families come in all different shapes. That love is what makes people family, not just blood. David stood up and pulled Maya to her feet. I have something to ask you, and I want you to know there's no pressure. If you're not ready, I understand. Maya's heart was racing. What is it? I want to ask you to marry me. I want to adopt Lily if you let me. I want us to be a real family, legally and in every other way. Maya stared at him. Are you serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. I know it's fast, and I know our story is unconventional, but I love you both so much. I want to wake up every morning knowing you're both mine, and I'm yours. David, Maya whispered. Yes, yes to all of it. He picked her up and spun her round, both of them laughing through their tears. When he set her down, he kissed her for the first time, gentle and sweet and full of promise. Should we tell Lily? Maya asked. Let's tell her together tomorrow. I want to do this right. The next morning, they sat Lily down at the kitchen table. David had made her favorite pancakes, and Maya had made hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. Lily, David said, Maya and I wanted to talk to you about something important. Lily looked back and forth between them, suddenly serious. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart. Maya said, David wants to ask you something special. David got down on one knee in front of Lily's chair. Lily, I love you and your mommy very much. How would you feel if I married your mommy and became your daddy officially? Lily's eyes went wide. Really? You want to be my daddy more than anything in the world? Lily launched herself into David's arms. Yes, yes, I want you to be my daddy. Maya watched through happy tears as David hugged her daughter, their daughter, and felt her heart grow to sizes. 1 year later, they had a small wedding in the garden behind the house. Lily was the flower girl, wearing a dress she had picked out herself and carrying a bouquet of dandelions she had picked that morning. During the ceremony, David officially adopted Lily, and she proudly announced to everyone that she had the best daddy in the whole world. The guest house became David's art studio, where he had started painting again, inspired by his new family. The main house became their family home, filled with Lily's artwork, Maya's books, and David's attempts at cooking. On quiet evenings, they would sit on the porch and watch Lily play in the garden, and Maya would think about that desperate night outside the restaurant, how the worst moment of her life had led to the best thing that had ever happened to them. Do you ever think about how we met? Maya asked David one evening. Every day, he said, pulling her closer. I think about how brave you were that night, how much you loved Lily to ask for help when you needed it most. I think about how you saw past what I was offering to what I really needed. We saved each other, David said simply, looking at their life now, the laughter, the love, the sense of belonging. Maya knew he was right. Sometimes the darkest moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Sometimes a desperate bargain becomes a forever love, and sometimes, when you're brave enough to ask for help, you find everything you never knew you were looking for.